So hey everyone, this is Deb again, and I am here with video number 2 of our series on the sewing themed needle book. I want to mention here that these videos, this series of videos goes specifically for the Handmade Primitive Quilts and Folk Art group that is on Facebook. Initially, the last video that I did, video number 1, I did it and attempted to upload it onto Facebook, but Facebook wigged out, didn't work. I ended up having to put it on YouTube, which was the first time I had done that. I don't have a YouTube channel, and so anyway, that's the reason why I ended up putting it on YouTube. If you are not a member of that group, then you will not have access to the templates and the other instructions that may be written. So just wanted to let you know that. So today in video 2, we're going to talk about how to cut, tear, and age paper, disassemble your book, and make a cover front paper bag. That's a pretty big order. I don't want these videos to be very long. We may not get to all of that in video 1 or video 2. I may have to make video 2B. So here we go. So we're going to talk about tearing paper first. Here's what you need. Scissors. Let's go to this ruler first. A ruler, a straight edge ruler. This is a decal edge ruler. So this is a fine decal edge. This is a big decal edge. I use the fine. You do not have to buy this. I actually don't use this very often. I either tear it by hand, use a ruler, or cut it. So these are the things, these are the tools that you need for tearing your paper. Okay, so let's talk about images. So this image, which is obviously not sewing themed, but it has the type of image that I'm talking about. This image is not a straight image. Okay, so for example, this is a straight edge. I have another one here. This one is more of a straight edge. So this one lends itself well to using a ruler or scissors. This one lends itself well to a what we call fussy cutting or fussy tearing. So for example, and here is one way that you can fussy tear or just tear in general. You just take your paper and you just tear it. Another way would be to do it like this. And you're tearing not right on that. You could, if you didn't want that whole image, you could tear just, I mean, if you just wanted the rabbit, you could just tear around the rabbit. So, but you can see the difference between this kind of freeform tearing and this more controlled freeform tearing. Okay. If you wanted to, and I'll show you that on the other one. So we'll continue with this one. This is freeform, just so that you've got an idea. Fussy cutting is where you are cutting around, or where you're cutting or tearing around a specific image, and I'll have other examples of that in here in a little bit. Okay, and you don't want to throw these away. You're going to use these for other things until eventually you've got a whole boatload of scripts and scraps of paper. Okay, this one, as you can see, is the straight edge ruler. You're going to just put it right up next to where that image is. I'm going to make sure that it's off the paper up there. And you just tear it like that. Okay. If you've got a deckled edge, it's going to look like this. You're going to use the very same technique, but it's going to look like this rather than that, which is nice. I like that. Or again, you can just use freeform, either like a control freeform or with your finger like this. Another thing that you can do is fold it. Put a nice fold in there. So you can see all the different edges that we have here. The freeform, the regular ruler, the decal edge ruler, and then tearing. Just depends on the look that you want. Or, I know this is a concept, you can tear or you can cut with scissors, and then you're going to get a straight edge. And they all have a place. Depends, like I said, depends on what it is that you're cutting out and how you want it to look. Because I do most of my things in a primitive or rustic way, I really like tearing. But sometimes I do cut. So these images were done on just regular copy paper. This particular image was done on a heavier weight cardstock, and you can see the difference. It was all done with freeform tearing, so you can see the difference in the size of the tears, I guess you might say. You're going to get a neater edge here, where this one might be a rougher edge, a little more, larger tears. So again, it depends on the paper that you use. Okay, so let's put these away. Let's talk about paper that is, again, these are digitals. So these were printed onto this paper, as was this. Okay, but you're going to see that when you tear this type of paper, you've got one edge that is whitish. You've got one edge that doesn't have the white showing. So depending upon whether or not you want the white to show or the colored, depends on, how you tear it. If you tear it like this, you tend to have less of that because it tends to tear more equally on both sides. Okay, so let's see, I showed you that. Let me put that over here. Okay, let's see here. I wanted to tell you about Fussy. I got all these things here. Okay, now, also, these are the templates that you got in last week, about the time that I put video 1 out. These are the ones that I drew. You do not have to use these. You can use whatever it is that you want. When we get into disassembling our book here in a minute, you'll see that I'm also going to tear out images or cut out images from my inspirational book. But here is a good example of templates that you may have in your stash. These are Sherry Payne patterns that have really cute primitive images in there. I think this is from Whatnots, from her Whatnots pattern. But you can see that they're small, they're primitive, they would be very easy to use as templates like these are. Now, it will mean that, and you may have already done this, you're going to cut these out as templates. You would do the same thing for your quilting. And in this case, you would use the same template, but you would trace over whatever it is that you're going to be using for your needle book. So this is another idea, and it doesn't have to be Sherry Payne. Just look through the patterns that you've got, because you may have all kinds of things, all kinds of options out there for your templates. So, okay, I hope I'm not off track here, which wouldn't surprise me in the least. All right, now this is what I wanted to show you as well. So we talked about, now these are large images, but what if you've got something that's like this? Okay, so this is the sewing basket, which came from my templates. So this has been cut out of the template material, the heavyweight cardstock or heavier weight cardstock. So in this case, I wanted it to be on book page. So what you're going to do, and you can probably see it here, I just took this template, put it on the paper, and you can see here that I traced around it, and then I just fussy teared it all the way around. The other thing that you can do is cut directly on those lines. So some of my templates, that's the way I did it. I just cut directly on the line. This one I chose to fussy tear so that I could show you the difference between, so here, this one has been cut on the line. This one has been, we fussy tore this one, or I fussy tore this one. Typically what you're going to do is you are going to put your template on the back side of your image and trace around it. That way you don't see it on the front. Now, there are going to be times that perhaps you wanted to fussy cut or fussy tear a particular image. In that case, you would put it on the front. So if you wanted this little bunny's head directly on that basket, then you could, you would actually trace on the front, use a pencil, and erase it. Okay. So this is one of the templates that came with my pattern. What you're going to do is you're going to look through your, yeah, I'm not going to get to this one yet. Hang on. This isn't the right time for this one. Sorry, disregard. Erase. Okay. Let's talk a moment, and I'm going to come back to images, but let's talk for a moment about aging your paper. Okay, this is tea-dyed copy paper. I'm not going to show you how to do this. It's a lot of work. I've got boatloads of this stuff already done up because there's no need to just do one paper at a time. If you want to know how to do this or these other techniques, there are YouTube videos that'll show you how to do it. Okay, so this is regular copy paper. This is tea-dyed vellum or tracing paper. You can use either one. And I love that crunch. Okay. My granddaughter and I got together and we did all these. You can do this for envelopes, junk mail, anything, absolutely anything. This is a piece of notebook paper, as you can see by the holes. So this one I did it a little differently. I didn't dip it all the way in. I just kind of splattered it and, you know, to give it a different look. Okay. These are all lighter weight paper. This is copy, or heavier weight paper, cardstock, just white cardstock. Okay, so you can see the difference between this and this. Also, depending upon the weight of the paper, depends upon how long you're going to leave it in your bath. I use a bath where I've got a big tub full of it, and I dip it in there, and then I bake it in the oven. That's my technique. Okay, so if you want to color your paper, I just use food color. This is just food coloring. Okay, all different colors. My granddaughter and I got together and we had a ball doing all this. This one, I don't know if you can see it on camera or not, but it's got a glimmer, kind of a shine, not a shine, what am I want to say, like glitter. It's kind of a glittery look. This one may be a better side. Because we sprayed it with some kind of glimmer mist, or I don't know what it was, to give it a different look. So, I use these a lot, depending upon what my project is. I don't think I'm going to use any, and I'm not going to use any of these in the project that we're currently working on. But if you wanted to do that, that's perfectly okay. This is your book. You can do whatever you want. Here's something else. Let me show you this. So, here's something. We did doilies. Just paper doilies. So, there isn't anything that you can't dye. Anything you set your mind to, you can do it. Okay. Now, let's move on to disassembling your book. Again, this is my inspiration. Okay. And you'll see that my book has already been disassembled. Some of the pages I tore out. Some of them I used an X-Acto knife, or it wasn't an X-Acto knife, it's this thing, a utility knife. And very carefully, because you don't want to tear your cover, or you want to control this, or even your tearing. And just ran it along there. But the first thing you're going to want to do is go through your book, and you want to look at all the images and just really enjoy looking at the book and deciding, sometimes you're like, ooh, I really like this image, but I also like this. So sometimes you have to make a sacrifice and determine, which image that you're going to use and sacrifice the other side. And let me tell you, every part of these pages is useful. So don't throw any of it away. Even if you decide that you're going to cut this out and you're going to use it, there's still stuff on this side you can use. I use just as much text as I do images like this. So this one, you may decide that you wanted to fussy cut around this little image right here and use that. You can do that. Same thing, this is the cover, and I will definitely use this cover for something. Whether it be this side or on the inside, which has a nice doily. So you're just going to go through, you're going to look at all the different images. You're going to figure out, ooh, I really like this. I want to use this. I'm going to cut this out. So I have gone through, and all of these that I have left, because a lot of things I've cut out already, a lot of the things that I have left in here, they will be used, but they're going to be used when I cut out my template pieces, my applique pieces. So you might kind of have in your mind, kind of organize in your mind as you're going, okay, I'm going to cut this out, so I'm going to put it over here. I'm going to use this as an applique image, so I'm going to put that over in this pile. So you just kind of want to get an idea. For example, this one would make a great applique to cut your appliques out of. Either like straight like this, or even sideways. But that's what I'm going to do with this, because pictures tend to be kind of a creamy color. So I selected this image, which as you can see, oh, it's got great stuff on the back too. But again, sometimes you got to sacrifice. And I'm going to use this, all these creamy images to cut out this picture. And then that's going to leave. So what you kind of might want to think, so like if you're going to cut this out, then you can put your picture down here. If you wanted to cut these out, then you could put your picture over here like this. So just kind of, and then you'd still have this up here as well. So this page, the things that you have on here, just by depending upon where you put your applique, I mean, you're still going to have the ability to use the rest of this page. So that's what I'm going to do with that. And this page would lend itself very well to the very same thing. Very same concept. So go through, look at your book, tear your book up, and, you know, be prepared to kind of organize how you want to do your pages. Okay. My husband's car alarm is going off. He obviously has his keys in his pocket. Okay, so these are images that I tore out of the book, my inspiration book. So these are already images that I already tore out and that I am going to use in my needle book. Okay, here is a template. Here's one of the cup templates that I cut out of this page. But as you can see, it still has lots of use on this particular piece of paper. So it's cut out of here. So these are all images that I have cut out and that I'm going to use in my book. Here is, I liked that rug, so I cut that rug out. I'll use it under this, you know, this or who knows what. So I want to use this image, but you may think to yourself, oh, I really like that, but is it going to fit? Well, let's see. So here's our book. Here's the cover, but as you know, in my particular case, I have signature pages that are bigger than the cover. So kind of go through, well, we know it's not going to fit on there. Is it going to fit on there? Yeah, it would fit on there. It would definitely fit on this page, which would look really cool on that because it's a dress form and it's a dress pattern or whatever kind of pattern it is. So yeah, that would work there. So you can cut this out or put it in your cutout pile. Then you can cut everything out at one time. So yes, this would work. This is a go. This is a positive. Here are some that would lend themselves very well. This is, this is really a good image, and I love this. Do feel a little crafty at least twice a day. Hope. No, probably not going to get that. If I only use this one, then yes. So these two would be, this one would be great to use your scissors and cut on the line. You could also do the same thing with this one. This one lends itself to just cutting it out around the image. So this is a keeper. That's going to go in there. My book's going to be big. So again, these are all images, and you may cut these all out and not use some of them, and that's okay. But you want to have options. Options are good. Options are always good. So other things I have in here are, these are leftovers from other projects. This is a copy of a cross-stitch pattern. Here's a copy of a I've got this embroidered on this, utility fabric. It's some kind of muslin, unbleached muslin. And, or no, I think it's bleached. And I just made a photocopy of it. And I'm only going to use, I used part of it for another project. I used part of it here. So, I've also got digis in here. These are digis of plates, which I love. These are die cuts. I've got these little dies that cut these little tiny doilies. And those are cute. Those will work on there. So I've got all kinds of options. So you can see I've just got it in a box. Put all, you want to gather all your things, all your paper. And you want to put them in this box so that you've got it all ready to go. And when you're decorating and putting your book together. Okay, so let's put this aside. Let's talk about aging your paper. Okay, this is a whole lot of stuff. I dried all this stuff out. Oh, well, that's good. Changed my light. Okay. I already showed you how to coffee stain or tea stain. I don't use coffee because coffee smells good and I like to drink it. But on paper over time, I personally don't like the smell of coffee, so it's icky. So these are all different kinds of options. These are blending tools. Tim Holtz. You can buy square, you can buy round. These are little, these are the blending tool pads or whatever you call it, because they're sticky. And then that way you've got one, as you can see here, I've got all different colors of ink, and that way you can have different sponges for your different colors of ink. And what I do is I've got those little, these deals, and then I just put them on there like that, and then I've got them. So you've got two different options of blending tools. You've got two different options on the blending tool, on this particular blending tool, of either the flat or new, just got for Christmas, the domed. My steel came off. Or the domed, which you'll see, because this is my favorite blending tool. But you can see it's kind of domed, and so I think I'm gonna like the domed definitely better than the flat. You just get better control. Okay, so let's talk about ink. Wait, I forgot to tell you about this. So this is my favorite blending tool. It comes like this. I bought it from Stampin' Up. And then I cut it into little pieces. So I hold it here, and I use this little domed edge to blend my color on. So, but they come like this, and then I cut them up. And they're only like $4, or they were, until, now we've got all this crazy inflation. Who knows what it is now, but they were like $4, but then of course you have to order them and all that stuff. Pay shipping. So there are two different kinds of Tim Holtz inks. There's Distress Ink, and there is Distress Oxide. I use Distress Oxide. Now, obviously, I have Distress Ink because I bought this before I realized there was a difference. I prefer the Distress Oxide. It works better for what I do. And, but if you've got the ink, it doesn't matter. Just use ink. My favorite colors, a lot of people use Vintage Photo. I'll show you the difference in color. My favorite is either Gathered Twigs or Ground Espresso. I use these two the most. I mean, obviously, as you can see by that. So this is my blender. You can see I've used these a lot. And this is what I predominantly use. These two colors and this More Mustard. More Mustard, Stampin' Up! Does not make it anymore. But you may have it in your stash. You may have at some time have used More Mustard and you have it there. Or, you know, your sister has it or whatever the case may be. So I like this color because some aging doesn't look brown. It looks more yellow, and that's what this is. It's kind of a more, a more mustard colored color. So I really like the More Mustard. As an option to the More Mustard, you may choose Scattered Straw, which is a Tim Holtz. And it's also nice. I like the Scattered Straw. So, but there are times that you want something that is more brown, and sometimes you may want something that's more yellow, because there are times that, as you know, paper yellows with age. Some folks use the tea dye, but as you can see, the tea dye has a more pink. So whereas this is kind of this is more brown, this has got a pink. This tea dye has got a pink cast to it. But, you know, if that's the color that matches what your project is and you like that, then that's good. A lot of folks use the Distress Oxide in the Vintage Photo. This happens to be ink, but that I would recommend, if you're going to buy it, buy the Distress Oxide rather than the ink. It applies differently. And the Distress Oxide lasts longer, in my opinion. But a lot of folks, probably 99% of all paper crafting people, are going to use Vintage Photo. And it's nice. I like it. But my favorite's the Gathered Twig. Another option would be the corduroy. What's it? Brushed corduroy. So I'll show you. I put these little dudes on there and they're not working out. I'll show you the difference. So here are those papers that I... Now you'll also notice that